Hello from the Hoboken Historical Museum. We're streaming out live to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. This is Hoboken Talks. We're on Thursday nights. We talk about Hoboken. We talk about what you care about in Hoboken. So feel free to join us at any time. I am your host, LaTrenda Ross, and tonight we have a special guest. We have Toni Tomarazzo. Please feel free to chat with us in the comments on Facebook, YouTube. We'll do our best to respond. We consider YouTube our home base, so if you miss any of Hoboken Talks or want to look at some of the other shows we've done, YouTube is the place to look. Hi, Toni. How are you doing this evening?
Hey, LaTrenda. Thanks so much for having me tonight.
Yes. Oh, Toni, when they asked me, who was another person I can think of to interview, I was like, let me think. And then I was like, you came to my mind. I was like, Toni! So I'm so glad to have you here with us this evening.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad that you had to scrape the bottom of the barrel. So I'm ecstatic to be here, and talking about Hoboken is great, and I know we're going to talk about the Hoboken Community Center tonight,
Yes.
and it's a special passion for me, and I'm really excited to be here and share the news.
Thank you. As you know, Toni and I, we cross paths attending a lot of the county meetings, and each time I have seen her practically virtually because of COVID. We haven't, I think this is the first time we've seen each other
In person.
Yeah. So, so thank you for being with us, and we're going to get right into it, Miss Toni.
Great.
So, Toni, tell me, what is your full name and why were you named this?
Oh gosh, my real name is Annette.
Okay.
And my mom's name was Antoinette, and my dad's name was Anthony. And my dad went by Toni, and my mom went by Nettie.
Okay.
And I go by Toni.
Oh, wow. Okay. My sister, her name is Annette, and we call her the Queen because she can cook.
Oh,
Yeah, she can cook, honey. Yes. Okay, so tell me, what are the names of your parents and siblings, and are they alive with us today?
So my dad his actual name was Domenico Antonio Tomarazzo.
Wow.
But somehow, I don't know how he worked it out, but on all of his official documents, he was Anthony. That's typical of my dad. He could move the world. My mom was Antoinette Policastro Tomarazzo.
Okay.
And I have two sisters. My oldest sister is Judy, and my middle sister is Linda.
Okay, we also have something else in common. My brother's name is Anthony.
There you go.
See, we were made for each other.
Yes.
Where were you born? What is your place of birth?
So I was born in Bergen County, about 40 minutes north of here in Bergenfield,
Okay.
which is, great bedroom community. My parents, my grandparents were immigrants from Bodenza, Italy,
Okay.
and they lived in New York. And around 1939, 1940, when they were drafting for World War II, my dad was just of age.
Wow.
And my mother moved into New Jersey to be near one of her sisters while my dad was, went into the Army.
Okay.
And when he got out, they wound up just staying here, and they raised their three kids in Bergenfield, which is in Bergen County.
Wow, it was in 1939. Oh, I wasn't born yet, but okay. I don't even think they was thinking of that.
Me neither. I mean, my parents had kids in the late 40s, and then
Okay.
they had another one in the 60s. And I always say that, they saved the best for last.
That's right, Toni. That's right. Tell me, what was your schooling like?
Well, I did high school in Bergenfield, which, at the time was an amazing experience, and it's been more than 40 years since I graduated high school, and I still have a big group of very close high school friends that I talk to and share. I'm going to go out to dinner with some of them next week.
Okay.
It's just amazing, when you come from a community where you build these bonds.
Yes.
It's just a great way to have support in your life.
Yes.
And there was just something special about the class in 1980 at Bergenfield High School.
Okay.
And we've just had a group of people who did tremendous work. And it's been a pleasure.
Okay.
And I honestly love them. I mean, they're friends of mine for life, and I love them.
So you mean the wild 80s? Yeah.
It was a little bit wild. It was, longer hair and higher hair.
Okay. Do you have any siblings, nieces, nephews?
Yeah, two sisters. I have a niece and a nephew. One lives in Montclair and one lives in Metuchen, and they each have 2 kids.
Okay.
And the kids are young. They're all under 10. And it's so nice to have little kids around. We just had Easter with our family, and to spend it with, it's loud and it's hectic and it's chaotic, but it's just a blessing. And out of the mouths of babes, it's just amazing what comes. And I think they say that you really don't know what love is, but I think over the course of your life, when you have experiences like that, it's really hard to deny that love and charity and grace is such a part of life. So.
Yes. Well, I see that we have CLF who says that we love you, Toni. You know who that is?
I don't.
Oh my. Okay. All right. Tell me, what was your first job?
So, my very first job, my dad was a union printer. Okay. And at the time, they were still, my parents had me very late in life, but at the time, he still set type where men, and mostly men, would stand over big tables.
Wow.
And they would take type and have to set it backwards so that Newsday or the New York Times or the New York Post would be printed. And he would do that. He worked from 7 at night until 3 in the morning. And he started, that started to get outsourced as I grew up. It became cold type as opposed to hot type. So he retired pretty young. And he started to work in a flower shop, believe it or not, which always amazed me. Like, my dad, a flowerman, I mean, come on. But he loved it. And I worked there in high school, and that was kind of my first foray. I also worked at the Bergenfield Public Library. So, my parents were exceptionally committed to making sure everybody understood what a work ethic took. In fact, when fast forward a bunch of years later, and we'll talk a little bit about college in a second, but I was home and I was studying to take my broker's license. At the time, it was called the Series 7. And I was studying and just trying. I really needed to pass this test. And I would go off. I was living with my dad, and I would go off and study. And the night before the test, my dad came in and said, "Listen, we're going to go for dinner. Enough is enough. You're taking the test tomorrow." So we go out for dinner, and I got food poisoning.
Oh, my goodness.
So my dad had a habit of getting up very early, like at 6 a.m. And he would go out with his friends for breakfast every morning. Well, the morning of my test, I heard him get up, and I didn't get down the stairs in time to say, "Dad, I'm really sick." So I waited, sitting on the steps, in this old raggedy sweatsuit. And he comes home about an hour later, and he goes, "What's the matter?" I said, I have food poisoning. I can't go take this test today. He said, "You're taking that test today." And he said, "I'm going to drive you." And at the time, it was still paper. I'm an old lady, so you still had to take the test on paper. So he drove me from Bergenfield, New Jersey, to the Bertram Beecham High School in Lower Manhattan.
Wow.
And it's literally, this is the origination of the roll stop. He rolled the car, kicked me out, and said, "Go take that test." So I went in, sick as a dog, took the test, and then I thought, well, he'll be waiting for me, when I come out. So I get out there, and he's not there. It was like 5 hours of testing. He's not there. And this is before cell phones, right? So I go to like a payphone, and I call the house, and he answers. I go, "Where are you?" He goes, "Well, I'm home." I said, "Well, how am I supposed to get home?" He goes, "Well, get on the subway and get to the bus and get home." And that's what I did. That was a very important test. He knew it was important to my career. And he was this is a loving, kind, generous man who took I don't know what he did. He took a 360 that day and said, "You're on your own." And the good news is I passed the test, and my career on Wall Street started.
Oh my goodness! Congratulations! Yeah. Oh wow! Okay, and where did you work after college? Oh, we have CLF, and I speak for all of us at Bergenfield. Oh, Corinne! High school class of 1980. See?
Yep. an amazing artist. Yep.
Lisa Marie Bryant, I'm happy to be here learning about Toni. We are about to become neighbors in paradise, LOL. Hi, Lisa. Thank you for joining us.
So I went to Bergenfield High School, and my parents had 3rd and 5th grade educations.
Okay.
My middle sister was a real trailblazer. I mean, she's 13 years older than me, so that's a different generation.
Yes.
And yet, she still went to college, my sister. She used to take the bus and go to the George Washington bus station and commute to FIT at the time.
Wow.
And so she was my role model.
Okay.
We didn't have really many people yet that had gone on for higher education, meaning undergrad.
Right.
And so I really, I always had college, and my father was a big proponent, wanted me to go to college.
Yes.
And I got very lucky. I got a wonderful scholarship to Susquehanna University, which is a liberal arts college in Selinsgrove, Pennsylvania.
Wow.
An amazing school where today every kid has an opportunity for a global internship, which is one of the only colleges that'll guarantee that.
Wow,
and I actually have the pleasure of serving on their board of trustees now.
Okay.
So I went to Susquehanna and made just amazing friends there, and when I got out, I was interested in finance. I got a degree in economics and finance and religion.
Oh.
And I decided that I wanted to go to work, try to go to work on Wall Street. I wasn't even sure what that was. And so I did. I got lucky, and the first job I got was working in Oradell, New Jersey, for a firm called Phillips Appel and Walden, which was a small boutique firm that has been bought and rebought and wound up as part of the Shearson Lehman family at one point. But I went to work there, and I was there for a couple of years, and then I got very lucky because I got a job with Muriel Siebert, who was the first member of the New York Stock Exchange, a woman.
Wow.
And I went to work for her. Her offices were at 444 Madison Avenue, and she was a great role model. She had just finished being the superintendent of banking in New York State, and she was just coming back to take over her firm. And she hired me, and she really gave me an amazing opportunity to learn really everything. I started in compliance. I then traded interest rate swaps. I was doing equity trading. I got just a great learning opportunity and experience there. And I'd been there for a couple of years, and my mom passed away when I was in college. And my dad got sick. And I really felt like I needed to be closer to him. So I came out and I got a job working at at this time, it was in the early 90s, at this time, fees were being deregulated. Before that, every broker had to charge the same fee. It was the law. They deregulated fees, and this concept of discount brokers were coming about. So I got a job working for a company called it's Fleet Bank. It was Richard Blackman and Company. They became Fleet Bank. And I had a great opportunity. I worked in administration, so I did compliance and risk, and that really set the tone for the remainder of my career. I worked there for a while, and then after my dad got much sicker and was unable to really understand where he had Alzheimer's. I went to work for the American Stock Exchange, where I stayed there for 14 years and worked in compliance and legal, and ultimately ran their internal review program for the exchange. And it was there that while I was there, 1 year, Wall Streeters are pretty picky about their bonus, right? So I want to talk about. Right. So 1 year, I felt slighted, And so I went to my boss and I said, gee, this didn't meet my expectations. And he said, listen, it's the best I could do, but if you want, why don't you go off and go to school? We'll pay for it. And I thought, okay, you got it. You know what? I'm going to go to law school. And so they paid for me to go to Seton Hall Law School. And I did that. I did that at night. And they covered, like 80% of the whole cost of me going to law school. So thank you, American Stock Exchange, and thank you, Seton Hall, for letting me do that. And then once I got my law degree, I went to work for Prudential Securities, and ultimately, again, I think sometimes grace just captures you, right? And I got a job working for two of the most amazing lawyers I've ever met in my life, Eric and Eileen at UBS Financial Services in Hoboken. And, they are, what I learned from them about the law, but also about how to be a lawyer.
Yes.
If they could package it and sell it, the world would be a better place. And I worked there for 23 years. And over the course of those 23 years, there's a great HBO series called The Band of Brothers, and they're interviewing some folks in that, and they say, well, you're a hero. And I said, no. The guy said, no, I'm not. I worked in a band of heroes, and that's how I feel. They said, well, you're a lawyer. I said, well, yeah, but I worked with amazing lawyers.
Yes.
I mean, I could name them and it would take an hour, but they're just an amazing group of people who have such empathy for their clients, and that's what makes a good lawyer.
Yes,
and so that's it. And I worked there for almost 23 years, and now I'm retired, and just a great, very lucky. I'm just, I'm the luckiest. I feel like I'm the luckiest woman in the world.
Yeah, well, you are. You certainly are, and wow, you have a longevity. Oh my goodness. But it's beautiful and it's outstanding, because as a woman, like you it just makes me feel like you just open the doors for other women as well, to know that we can do this, I'm so amazed. What's also amazing? What's amazing is that a lot of times we know people, but we don't really know them until we hear their story. And your story is just really, really amazing and fantastic. And I'm really happy that you're sharing this with us into the world.
Many women came before me that really cracked that glass ceiling to make it possible. And it's important, and I spend a lot of time working with younger women to help them understand, how, and of course it's completely different today. I mean, like it was in 1990, it doesn't really play in 2023. But the concept of being there to support each other is really, really crucial, and it's really important. Unfortunately, I've lost some very close work colleagues that I worked on. I was working at the American Stock Exchange on 9/11, and so while no one that I worked directly with died on that day, it turns out that I worked in a group of 5 people, and I'm the last surviving member of that 6-group party at the American Stock Exchange, and all of them succumbed to cancer. Absolutely sure that, it was from the World Trade Center. And then 15 years later, I got diagnosed, and I have stage 4 cancer from it. So it's, I think there's a lot of arguments to be made that none of us know for sure. But I think when you look at the commonality and where it comes from and what we went through, on 9/11, we were responsible for a significant part of the country's financial markets. And I remember being called in. 9/11 was on a Tuesday, and I made it back to Hoboken that day. And actually, I remember walking back from the ferry to my apartment, and at the time, I'm not that old. Now cell phones did exist.
Which ones? Was it the one with the you put? It wasn't the.
They were pretty big.
Okay.
But they didn't work because the towers on the Trade Center. So I still had a landline. So my landline would ring, and it would be like I would pick it up, and it was like someone from Santa Monica saying, Toni, my name is so-and-so, and you know my cousin blank, and they're at the PATH station, and they need a place to go. Where are you? I'm like, call him back. And tell him to come to my house. And so by the afternoon of 9/11, I probably had like 15 people. We were out like scrounging up, drinks and food, and we're all sitting in the back trying to figure out how to get people out of Hoboken that needed rides outside of the community. And so, so that's, it's pretty amazing. But on Thursday morning, I went back into the city as part of the advance team to see what happened to the physical exchange. And we would go to Canal Street and be driven in by the Army Corps of Engineers.
Wow.
And it was, I mean, when I tell people the story, like for weeks after that, they would literally have to run street cleaners to keep the dust down. So the city of New York or whoever, whether the federal government, was running street sweepers spraying water to keep the dust down. I would come home, like after 2 days, there would be holes burned in the soles of my shoes from walking on that debris.
Wow.
So, people say, oh, you could get cancer from anything, and it's an insidious disease that wreaks havoc on families and people's lives. Yes. But, whether that was it, I think so.
You think so, yeah.
And then I lost my other, and the way I learned about the loss of these other colleagues, I mean, it was 15 years after 9/11. You have to get a letter from people that saw you there on 9/11 in order to get in the 9/11 healthcare fund. So I had to call some of these people I hadn't seen in 15 years.
Right.
And I couldn't. Somebody would reach their families. They'd be like, "I'm sorry, he passed away last year. I'm sorry he passed away," and and it was just so sad to me that these people I knew that we were all in the same boat. But I've been very fortunate. I get the absolute best care at Hackensack, the John Thorpe Cancer Center. They are just it's amazing, and my sister has just kept me going, and my closest friends have made it all possible, and I'm not going. I intend to go anywhere.
Good. Nope, Tony staying right here. Tiffany Fisher. Hi, Tiffany, the strongest woman I am proud to know. Yes, Tiffany, I'm telling you, she's amazing. When I was first talking to Toni, I called her a couple of days ago, and she was telling me her story. I was just in awe and amazed because, like I said, this is our first time seeing each other. Right? But we're always talking because we're always in these meetings, the county meetings. But to really actually hear her story, it's amazing. It's just amazing. And I'm like super ecstatic, really, to be here with you and just to hear it.
You've done quite similar things. I'll tell you, though, that, I stopped working in 2019 because I was not able to keep going. And, I was home, and I've always been a volunteer at the Hoboken Community Center.
Yes.
I've been a volunteer there since 2012.
Okay.
And we have 3 missions. Well, we had 2 at the time.
Right.
One is that we have a 96-room single resident occupancy where we house single low-income men.
Right.
And that it's been in existence since at least 1929, and it used to be the building that was down where the current post office is off of Hudson Street.
Okay.
And that building burned down at the time, and they came up and they reopened in this beautiful building at 1301 Washington. And the board, prior to my joining, had embarked on this very ambitious, very much needed program to expand the housing from about 40 units to 96.
Okay.
And so we run this 96-room SRO. We have no project-based vouchers there. We have to struggle tooth and nail to be able to keep that program running for these men. And it's been, I don't know how you value success. I value it on how many souls we help.
Yes.
And so so we have 96 men there that, we really care a great deal about, and we've expanded that program. We now offer behavioral health and therapy for these men right on site. We offer food. We offer a variety of different services, and of course, we also have the old YMCA, which since 2009, 2010, it's really been empty because it fell out of favor and it was kind of empty.
Yes.
So if you fast forward to 2019. Something happened in our country that also happened this March.
Right.
And what happened was food stamps were cut.
Oh,
and they
yes.
were cut significantly.
Yes.
And our residents in the building really rely on, many of them rely on food stamps. And they were getting, in some instances, 3/4 of their allotment cut. And it's really vital for them because our building, they're not allowed to have open cooking flames.
Right.
So they really do rely on being able to go out and get, food.
Right.
And we said, the board of directors at the time said, we have to start a food pantry.
Yes.
And so with the help of some very good friends, lovely people who would be really mad if I said their name on camera, they gave us the money to start, and they renovated this little room in our pantry. And we started opening up twice a week, and the men would come over, and we made sure we stocked it with appropriate items, you know, like cup of noodles that they could add hot water to, peanut butter and jelly, things that they could actually use. And it really helped. So the cut of the SNAP, along with this new pantry, was really great. Well, we did this like twice, and all of a sudden my phone's ringing, and it's people all over town saying, I heard you have a pantry. You know, we have senior citizens who need food in our senior citizen buildings. What can you do for them? So we were very fortunate in that we had already applied to be an agency with the Community Food Bank of New Jersey. An amazing nonprofit that serves literally tens of thousands of our fellow New Jerseyans. So we were a partner there. We started to get lots of food in, and we started to bring 60 bags to the senior buildings every week. You know, we would do what we could. Of course, this was in like December, January of 2020, and I like to tell people it was a time when only the president knew about COVID. None of us knew. You know?
None of us.
And so come around beginning of February, things start to heat up, right? And of course, Hoboken, you know, ground zero again. You know, and Mayor Bala and the city council had to step up, and they took action that really, I think saved literally hundreds of lives, right?
Of course.
But the pressure to get access to food at the beginning of COVID, it really exaggerated the need that we now knew already existed, right? So we, through the grace of the Office of Emergency Management, and people like, you know, John and Brian and John Dalton, they all got together and they helped us. And we used the empty building that we had, and we started bringing in literally 10,000, 15,000 pounds of food.
Oh my goodness.
Making bags, and the OEM manned a hotline, and we publicized it so people around town, and we didn't care who you were. If you were poor or if you could afford food but you couldn't get out. And also remember Instacart. I mean, remember people were like, I wanted to start an exchange for Instacart appointments, right? So they would call up, and these wonderful volunteers at the OEM hotline would write them down. And then once or twice a week, we would use the city buses, we would use our own cars, and we would drive to these people's apartments. We'd leave the food in the foyer, and we'd call them and say, Mr. Jones, we just dropped off bags of food for you, and then we would leave. So this went on. I mean, and the logistics to do that, I mean, you know, Councilwoman Fisher was just on. Another great Hobokenite, Rachel Hodis. They would help by making stickers and lists of people that we're going to deliver to, and we would organize that, and then John would organize the pantry, and we would do these deliveries, and you know, lots of people were getting helped, but it became untenable. Right? It was too much. So what we decided was, this is in June of 2020, that we were going to go to what's called the grab-and-go model. So we opened up in 3 locations in Hoboken: 1301 Washington, 122 Adams, which was right behind the multi-service center. And we now work in the multi-service center, but at that time, the multi-service center was closed for COVID. And in the courtyard between the 2 Andrew Jackson North and South buildings. And twice a month, we still to this day go there. We have 1,500 plus families registered. And twice a month, we're at almost 450 to 475 families that come each time, and they're getting, you know, non-perishable bags of food. They're getting perishable food. We get a plethora of fresh fruits and vegetables. Bread every week, and we also have, often, not always, we try proteins like eggs or butter or meat or whatever, and then that's on every other Friday. And then the Tuesday following the Friday that we're open, we now have a personal care pantry, and that opened a little bit after the pantry, and it got started, and you know, it was really spearheaded by a young mom in town, by Tammy, and we now serve north of 200 families every other week for diapers, adult diapers, formula, cleaning products, personal hygiene.
Right.
The things that are so expensive.
Yes.
And many of which that you can't use your SNAP benefits to buy.
That's true.
Right? You know,
That
we
is
talk
true.
about this in our
Yes.
meetings.
Yes.
So, you know, our program is really growing. But the amazing thing, and people might hear that and say, wow, that's amazing, you're serving all of these people. Here's what amazes me.
Yes.
What amazes me, and it brings tears to my eyes when I think about this, is that in the midst of what could arguably be the greatest pandemic of our
Yes.
lifetime, certainly,
Yes.
I hope, God willing, right?
Yes.
Men and women of all walks of life came out of their homes in Hoboken, when by all rights they should have been sheltering in place.
Yes.
They came out and they worked night and day to do all of the things that I just told you about, to do the logistics, to get the food, to bag the food, to deliver the food, to organize the pantry. Today, we have over 220 shifts a month where people come and they use Charity Quest. And if you're not on Charity Quest, you should be, because it's a great app where you can go on Charity Quest and you can get to it from our website, the Hoboken Community Center's website. And it lists not just volunteer opportunities at the Hoboken Community Center, but it lists volunteer opportunities all over Hoboken.
All over, yes.
And you know, there are so many great volunteer opportunities. You know, we're not the only operation that feeds. You know, there are, you know, St. Matthew's Lunchtime Ministry,
Yes.
the Hoboken Shelter,
Yes.
In Jesus' Name.
Yes.
These are all these amazing, wonderful programs, and they're all on Charity Quest, so you can go and look and see where you might be able to donate and dedicate your time. It's just, you know, it's just a great way. But when I think about these men and women, and it was men and women who came out to work in the very drudge days of the pandemic, right? When by all rights, people should have been home with their families. They were coming out, and you know, these were literally doctors and lawyers and accountants, people who were furloughed temporarily, people who were home because they couldn't, because New York City was closed, and they would come out and they would donate and dedicate their time, and that still happens today. We have a senior leadership team of 14 that really runs this pantry, and they run the gamut from very young professionals to very seasoned retirees who should be, you know, sunning in Milan.
On the beach with tequila and margaritas.
Exactly. And instead, you know, they don't just come like for a half hour and like, you know, put a tube of toothpaste. They come, you know, tirelessly, and dedicate their skills. And, you know, we have a saying at the Hoboken Community, the Community Center Food Pantry, that it's distribution with dignity. These men and women, when I watch people come to our distributions, they know their names, they know the story of who these clients are. We take the time to know them, and if there's something special that they need. You know, this group of people, and I'm not going to run through their names because some of them will kill me, but I will tell you that they're very special, and we have two in particular, and I tear up when I think of them. But
I can imagine.
But Jess and Jen have been doing this for years, and they run that pantry like a Fortune 500. I mean, if the United States Senate could just sit down and shut up, they could come in there and just fix it. You know, I mean, they just are simply brilliant, empathetic women who are just forces of nature, and together with the other 12 members of the senior leadership team have really made a difference. But you know, I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that they're not the only volunteers, right? When you think about feeding this large number of people, it wouldn't be possible without the assistance of the city of Hoboken. And you know, Mayor Bala has been behind the city, and the directors who work for the mayor, like Jen Gonzalez and Leo Pellegrini, and the people who work for them, like Stu, right? Stu. These folks, you know, unfailing dedication to the mission. And it's just amazing that happens. You know, the city council, when we first started talking about doing this program, Councilman Ramos and former councilwoman Vanessa Falco and Joe Bronco just went out and bought cell phones and helped us get contacts and organized. We're just in the throes right from the very beginning. Councilwoman Jabor comes to every single distribution that she's at, that she can be at. She comes and you know, during the crisis, during the actual, you know, again, the dark days of the pandemic.
Oh my goodness.
The Councilwoman Jabor was working on getting relationships with for example, an airline whose food was frozen but was going to go bad because they weren't flying. And they wound up donating all that frozen food to us, and we got a garage, and we started going to the Hoboken Housing Authority and the senior buildings and handing out these frozen foods. One day, we needed to clean the pantry to keep it, you know, in an orderly way. And Councilwoman Giattino said, well, you know, I know somebody, a cleaning firm, I'll get them to come up there. So I happened to go up when they were doing that, and what do I find but the president of the council at the time on her hands and knees scrubbing the floor of the Hoboken pantry. And of course, Councilwoman Fisher is not just at every single distribution, but she helps by going at 6:30 on a Friday morning to pick up eggs and chicken for us. She, you know, she's a stalwart in terms of volunteering when we need her. And, you know, the rest of the council, you know, Councilman Doyle, I don't want to leave anybody out, but I always kid Councilman Doyle. He made a financial contribution that his own personal money that we used to buy shelving for the pantry. So I always kid people and I say, welcome to the pantry. These are the Jim Doyle Memorial shelves. And you know,
I like that name though for him. Yeah, we're gonna put a plaque up there for him. Boy, I love him. I love all of them.
And I mean, you know, they've all helped. I don't, you know, Councilman Russo went with me to various buildings in his ward to try to sign people up. I mean, you know, every single one of them has been, you know, engaged, and it's a great, you know, it's a great program. I remember one day the mayor showed up at the and he had his wife and his two kids, and he had a bag of oranges. He went to the store and he bought oranges and he brought them up. I'm like, that just says it all, right? And that's the degree of dedication. So, you know, this community center, it's really a lifeline, but it's a labor of love for lots of people. And when that story is finally written and told, and we look back at the people who actually came out to do it, I think it's just amazing. And you know, today, like I said, through Charity Quest, we have all of these different things. So people come from all sorts of walks of life, and you can come and do as little as 2 hours, whatever. So and we really ask that volunteers be 16 or older. But occasionally, Jen Manzetti will run a volunteer shift where we'll bring in, say, a Girl Scout troop or a Boy Scout troop, just to, you know, I think it's very healthy to introduce kids,
That's right.
So when we talk about that in our meetings, about how do we get the community, right? So just to, you know, it's a sad subject when we talk about having to feed so many people, but just to tell you a funny story. So one day Jen is in the pantry and she's working with this younger group of people, and she's telling them the story about how we, you know, kind of bringing it down to the level. We collect the food and we put it in these bags that you're helping us, and then we hand it out to people. And so, you know, then this little girl comes over to her and she says, can I just ask you a question? You know, just kind of on the side. And Jen goes, and she kind of gets down and says, sure, how can I help you? You know, and the girl goes, so let me get this right. You give this away for free? And she goes, yeah, we do. And she goes, you know, I'm going to tell my dad. He likes free things. And this other little girl comes up and says to Jen, so wait a minute, free? She goes, you know, you're never going to make any money this way.
Kids, I'm telling you. They're brilliant. They're just brilliant. I love them.
So you know, we at the Hoboken Community Center, we have an important mission, right? We have 96 men whose lives are really dependent on us maintaining that building. We have all of these people that need food and that we're working diligently to provide. And we have this building that we really owe the community to restore it. And our vision is to restore it to to really be a center mark, of our community
Yes.
into a really well-positioned community center. I like to say, I'll probably get in trouble from a copyright perspective, but I like to say it's going to be like the New York's 96th Street Y.
Okay.
Right, we're going to have the spoken word and
Right.
lots of pools, and we're going to put 2 pools, not just one. There's going to be a 169-seat amphitheater lighted by a skylight at the top
Oh,
floor.
my
I mean, the
goodness.
plans for this building are going to be really amazing. 2 indoor pools that can be used year-round.
Right.
A full-size gym. We're hoping to attract some really wonderful partners.
Yes, that would be
To
nice,
come up
yes.
and partner with us.
Yes.
And in order to do that, we have to do 2 things.
Mm-hmm.
First, we have to move the pantry, because we can't stay in that building while
Right.
they're renovating it.
Yes.
So we recently purchased a building in town where we propose to build a brand-new pantry.
Oh, wow.
That we're going to make what we call client choice, meaning it's not just us putting things in bags and here you
Right.
go, this is what you get. It's really set up sort of like what we talk about at Hudson
Yes,
County. Where you
yes.
come to the pantry and you go ahead and pick out, you get a certain number of points or whatever.
Right.
You pick out exactly what your family needs.
Yes.
So this is a project that we're proposing, it's nothing set in stone.
Right.
And we're working really diligently on that. But all of these things that I just told you about cost money.
Of course.
So we have
That's
to-
not free, right?
No,
Like
no,
them
that's,
kids
but Tanstoffer, my economic major friends will know there ain't no such thing as a free lunch. So we're having, every year, we have a big gala event, and it's called the Taste of Hoboken.
Okay.
This year, it's Tuesday, June 6th.
Okay.
And again, I mentioned these 14 senior leadership
Mm-hmm.
members. They have transformed this into just an amazing night in Hoboken.
Oh,
It's
my
on
goodness.
It's on the banks of the Hudson River.
Okay.
And in Maxwell Park.
Yes.
We will have somewhere north of 30 to 35 local restaurants. These restaurateurs, they support this program. They come out, it's like we will one-up each other, And they come out with the most amazing food, and our beloved partner, Giannone Liquors,
Okay.
who is at 333 River Street,
Yes.
coordinates, it's an open bar.
Oh.
And so it's all of this amazing food, this open bar, and it's
Okay.
just a night of revelry with the beautiful New York skyline on the
Yes.
side. So tickets are on sale, you can go to our website, we'd love to have you. Last year we
Yes.
sold out, this year we've done a little bit of advertising.
Advertising, right.
And we already have a third of our tickets gone, so we hope people will come up and join
Oh,
us.
my
And,
goodness.
it's just a great thing. And I'll tell you that all of the things I just talked about at the Hoboken Community Center,
Yes.
our senior leadership team, our 3 missions, the
Yes.
pantry, the renovated community center, and our affordable housing program, it's run by a board of 11 people.
Okay.
And Ken Nielsen, who is the dean at Stevens, is our president.
Okay.
And we have just a board, again, this board are very professional, highly motivated individuals who could be doing anything in this
Of
world.
course, of course.
And what they do is they work very hard to make sure that this vision, so kind of like from an umbrella
Yes.
level,
Yes.
is running, and that we're all on the same track.
Yes.
So that we can actually affect these programs that we
Yes.
want to do. Keep that SRO
Yes.
running, benefit those men.
Yes.
Renovate that building and keep that pantry running.
Yes.
So, along with, this board of directors, it's made up of some born and bred Hobokenites. It's made up of
Yes,
some,
Hoboken.
some recent plants. And it's just, again, when people say grassroots,
Yes.
the Hoboken Community Center is grassroots.
It's grassroots. Oh my, wow, Toni. How long have you been in Hoboken?
I moved to Hoboken in July of 2001.
Wow, and you never left.
Never left. Nope.
Oh my
Nope.
goodness.
Nope. And I don't think I ever will.
Well, yeah. Well, I can't say that I left. I'm sorry. I went, down the block. But I'm still a Hobokenite. 43 years before I moved. I mean, Hoboken is the greatest city, I believe. And we've come so far. And one thing I like about Hoboken is that it's a small knit, tight, city. A lot of people know everyone. We all grew up together. We've crossed paths with one another. So that's what I love about Hoboken. And I get, like, my heart is like pounding right now because, you know, every time I talk about Hoboken, and I fight for Hoboken. I live in Jersey City, but I was born in Jersey City, right? I work in Jersey City. So basically it's like, you know, twins, you know, Hoboken, Jersey City. But Hoboken will always be my home, you know.
Well, you're Hoboken adjacent.
Yeah, there it goes. You know, I always say I have two mayors. People are like, how you have two mayors? Yeah, you know, Jersey City Mayor Fulop, Hoboken Mayor Bauer.
It's you know, I always say in Hoboken, it's the only place I think that you can take 3 hours to walk 4 blocks because you know, because you know everybody.
Yeah.
And you have to have a conversation. But
my goodness.
I think it's like this in other places,
Yeah.
but I will tell you that, I mean, when you think about the Hoboken Community Center, you think about our pantry in particular. I mean, really, in the depths of the pandemic, when by all rights people should have been huddled up. You know, people, not just all of these Hoboken neighbors came out to help their other neighbors, but the businesses. I mean, when I think about what these businesses have done to support us, you know, we have such a nice relationship with the Hoboken Business Alliance. You know, all of these different things, and it's just everybody sees the commonality of what a great city, you know, Hoboken really is.
Yes.
You know? And my friends who don't live in Hoboken, all they want to talk about is the lack of parking.
Oh yeah,
and I think
I mean,
you know, when you live in Hoboken, you're like, you know. I mean, I live near one of the funeral homes in Hoboken. I used to time my return for when the funeral would get out.
That's a good one. I like that one, Toni.
And just park, but you know, it's Hoboken is a community with a heart.
Oh my goodness, yes.
And just, you know, you look at other communities our size.
Yes.
And you think about, you know, what makes Hoboken unique. I mean, one is the PATH station, right?
Of
the proximity. That's what sets Hoboken apart from North Bergen. Not that that's a great town too, or Union City, right? I mean, Hoboken has the Hoboken University Medical Center.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, we have a hospital that's needed and that's something we have to have in a city of our size, especially one that has issues with egress. Right. So if a loved one of yours has a stroke, if you had to wait to get to Jersey City Medical Center, which is a great hospital as well,
yes,
or you could get to Hoboken University Medical Center and get that TPA or whatever it is that you need. I can't tell you how many times in the last 10 years people have said, that saved my life. You know, and so we have that. You know, Hoboken has a rich culture. I mean, there's, you know, restaurants. I mean, come on. I mean, you know, you could throw a dart. So, you know, it's just a great community. It's filled with great people.
It is.
And that's what, you know, that's what the Hoboken Community Center wants to do, is to continue to be a part of that fabric. And you know, frankly, we do need some help now. Like, if people are listening to this talk tonight and they have an interest in knowing more. Like you know, it's like the old, I don't know if you guys remember the Patchwork. When I was a kid, there was a show called the Patchwork. It says, we need nieces and nephews and uncles and cousins. We need members by the dozen. We do too. Like, there's something that you could do. You might not be able to lift 100-pound sacks of sweet potatoes. We get that. But maybe you're great at social media. Maybe you're a good graphic artist. Maybe you can make phone calls and help us. Maybe you can help coordinate something. There's something for everybody to do. So I urge people, and you know, the beauty of it is that it's such a great team. You know, I like to say that I started working at the Hoboken, you know, volunteering at the Hoboken Community Center with a bunch of strangers, and now I work there with a bunch of friends. You know,
family.
Family.
That's what I call Hoboken my family. Wow, amazing. Yeah, let's see some photos. She has some beautiful photos up here. Oh, look at you, Toni.
Look at that hair. That's from 1980. I was graduating college.
Oh my goodness!
I still had black hair.
Was you singing? Was you a singer?
No. Well, if the room was empty, I may have been singing.
We thought you was.
I was probably making some speech. So.
Oh, okay. About to sing the Star Spangled Banner.
that would end the cliques for sure. These are two of my closest college friends. We were roommates.
Beautiful.
Yep, Kathy and Lisa, and this is us at a Bruce Springsteen concert. So we're a bunch of old ladies now, but we still follow Bruce. So.
Bruce Springsteen, you got a bunch of beautiful women out here who love you.
This is Ken Nilsson, the president of the Hoboken Community Center Board, and that's he and I signing the papers to purchase the building that we bought to build the proposed pantry. Again, it's just proposed.
Beautiful.
And here is a very famous Hobokenite, Bernadette Pearson.
Yes.
Bernadette is a cunning, great family in Hoboken, and here she is volunteering. This is at our annual pop-up Christmas market where we provide an opportunity for our pantry clients to come and pick out some presents for them to put under their Christmas tree.
Amazing. And you have my favorite color on too.
Yep.
Yes.
This is some group of hoodlums, huh? These are my beloved Susquehanna University College friends. And we tell a lot of stories about each other, and they deny them.
They do?
But you can rest assured. And this is the same group 40 years earlier.
Oh my goodness. Beautiful.
This is a group of volunteers that came to the Hoboken Community Center to work in the pantry, and they are my colleagues at my job.
Okay.
That's the UBS Financial Services Legal and Compliance Team. They're from all over the state, and they took a half a day to come, and they really did work like dogs. The young lady to the left is possibly the best lawyer I've ever known in my life. So.
Wow.
And they all are great lawyers. These are my high school buddies. So 40 plus years of friendship.
Amazing.
Yep. And we still like each other. And this is the Susquehanna group again as we were peeling them off and marrying them off.
Beautiful.
And here's that group again, and this is a current day picture at Susquehanna. That is our Riverhawk. That's Susquehanna's. And in the middle is a non-Susquehannan, Liz, who's my best friend, and she just snuck in there to give us some class.
Good. Okay. Beautiful. Look at the babies.
Yeah. Well, this is. Listen, as much as I love the people of Hoboken and my family and friends, this is it. This is where my heart is. At the top, that's Kiva. And Kiva is a rescue dog who came to live with me on March 20th, 2020.
Wow.
She was a COVID rescue. The foster firm that I worked with, they needed to get 98 dogs out of their kennel. So they called me up and they said, they're from Nashville, Tennessee. And they said, we're driving 98 dogs up. They're coming on March 20th to a rest stop on the New Jersey Turnpike.
Wow.
Can you take one? And I said, I don't know. All right, a little one. So they sent me a picture of a little dog.
Okay.
So I go to get the dog, and I'm standing there, and I'm waiting, and I'm watching all the dogs, and I don't see any little dogs. I see this dog,
Right.
but I don't see it. I have a little collar. I don't see this dog. So I finally walk up to the gentleman. I go, excuse me, I'm looking for Kiva, the little dog. And he goes, here she is right here. She was 88 pounds.
Oh my
That
goodness.
was the best bait and switch ever. But I'm telling you, she was a foster. But that foster was mine from the walk from the truck to my car. I knew right away, the soul of this dog was never leaving me.
Oh my goodness.
And on the bottom, these are two dogs who actually moved in next door to me, but I have hijacked. My neighbor probably isn't too happy. But on the left is Ella, who unfortunately has gone over the Rainbow Bridge. And my heart, this is Satchmo. He's 18 years old. 18. I just got back from a little road trip with them, and they were great.
They were great. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh.
Here's the high school team again, proving that we can still stand each other.
Yes.
Here's some Hoboken friends. You must recognize Senator Kenny.
Yes.
He's been an inspiration to me for many years.
Oh, my goodness.
I started working with the senator on Rebuild Hoboken right after Sandy.
Okay.
And he worked closely with us, and of course, his wife Roberta, and
Yes.
council people, Giattino and
Yes.
Fisher, and there's Bernadette again.
Yes.
Here's Mayabala visiting the pantry again, and these are some of our really, our beloved volunteers who permitted me to use this picture because their faces are covered.
Yes.
And here's some more of our great volunteers.
Yes.
I mean, just they just come out and work tirelessly.
Look at this.
Here's two special women in my life. This is when you go to law school, any lawyers that are listening, if you're lucky enough, you get a great study group.
Yes.
And you study with these folks night and day. And these are two of the 5 crammers. That was the name of our study group. Aptly called because, as my friends and family will attest,
Right.
if the test was at 9 o'clock on Tuesday morning, I would start studying around 6 o'clock Monday night. So
Wow.
we called ourselves the
Crammers.
Crammers. And the young lady on the right is now an Essex County judge. And
Wow.
so they're good friends.
Amazing.
And this is my beloved adopted mom, Eleanor Gallagher. She passed away not too long ago, but
She's beautiful.
She was, if ever God created grace in this world, it's embodied in that woman. I mean,
Wow.
to know her was to love her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And here, this is it. So as much as I love my, my dogs,
Yes.
this is it right here. This is the be-all and end-all for me. This is my niece and nephew, 2 of the most amazing individuals in the world. My niece just hosted Easter for the family, and just an amazing job. And my nephew is just super great. They both have 2 kids, and
Beautiful.
they're wonderful people. Yep. And this is the queen. This is my sister.
The queen.
Yep. This is the boss.
Yes.
And she she makes the family tick. So and to know Linda is to love Linda. And we're very, very blessed to have her in our lives. And doesn't mean she doesn't get in trouble with me quite often.
Right.
And here's my best friend again. So, people ask, you have good friends, and you dream about retiring, right?
Right.
And you kid each other and you say, look, we're going to retire, we're going to buy a house on an island,
Right.
we're going to live in the same community.
Yes.
And it never happens, right? Well, it really happened. We Liz and her husband Harold and we bought 2 homes in this amazing community in Florida where we're going to winter quite a bit. It's called Latitudes at Margaritaville outside of Daytona Beach, and
Wow.
it's just, I've only been down there once so far, and I've met people who I can tell right away, like the caliber of these individuals who live there. It's just, it's amazing. I mean,
Right.
to know them is to want to be with them again.
Yes.
And I find myself home in Hoboken where I love, and all I'm doing is thinking about my friends in Margaritaville. And I live on a street called Low Tide Lane, and there's about 22 or 24 villas on that street. And I mean, every one of them that I meet, one after the other, is just amazing. And
Wow.
we call ourselves the Low Tide Treasures. So I anticipate getting into a significant amount of trouble.
Yes.
And so here it is. This is an example of what we do twice a month. We do this in 3 locations in Hoboken.
Wow.
This one happens to be in the courtyard of the HHA between the
Yes.
Andrew Jackson North and South buildings. We try to do it as conveniently as possible. Now, this team of volunteers, we bring that food in, we pack that food, we transport it to the courtyard, and then we hand it out. And that's twice a month that we do that. And you can see there, we probably see, 150, 175 families in that one location.
Right.
Then there's 2 others where we do something similar to that. So it's, it's amazing. And, the rapport that the team has built with the local neighborhoods, not just here, but you know,
Right.
at the multi-service center, that team is absolutely outstanding.
Right.
At the 1301, those ladies and men are just great. They've built such a rapport with these clients. And I mean,
Yes.
they literally know them by name, and they talk to them about what's going on. It's just amazing. And
Yeah.
look at what we were able to do. I mean,
Yeah.
those plastic bags have tons of fresh fruits and
I
vegetables.
see, yeah.
Then we have all of the bags that contain all of the non-perishable,
Right.
and it's just, it's just a pleasure to be able to
Yes.
serve our neighbors.
Oh my God, beautiful. Look at Toni.
Well, so it's finally out in the open. I'm a deadhead.
Oh, look at Toni.
So this is, I'm old and a little bit disabled and can't do too much, so I don't play too much golf. I can't play golf or play
Right.
pickleball, but later in life, I picked up poker.
Okay.
And I actually play very competitively. And this is a picture of me playing in a poker game where I'm sure I didn't know a picture was being taken.
Right,
so-
right. And you look real serious, like y'all look real serious.
Yeah,
It's a serious game.
it's no kidding around. Yeah, and this is just, I didn't go to an SEC college, so a close friend is a LSU graduate, so I've been forced, I wasn't asked, I was forced to become an LSU Tiger fan, and I have over the years, and so when I was having one of several serious surgeries, my friend brought the LSU blanket to cheer me up.
Oh, beautiful. I love the colors.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look
and
at
here we
this.
are, just happy to be in that this is a barbecue restaurant. So I may be smiling because I'm happy to be there, but
Yeah,
I'm probably anticipating the ribs.
Yes. Oh, look
Yeah.
at
And
this.
these are friends who I consider family. So yeah.
Okay. Beautiful. Oh,
Yeah.
look at the baby.
Yeah, but this is another dog of mine who passed away. That's Emma, and so Emma actually is a real Hobokenite.
Oh,
So
okay.
I had a friend and a neighbor, Kathy Mallow, who called me up one day and said, I am going to pick up this dog at a breeder because the breeder is going to put it down. And I know you have room in your house. Can you foster this dog? I mean, I think it's clear that fostering does not work for me. And
Yes.
And I'm like, and I said, well, you know what? I'm willing to take the dog, but it just so happens the next weekend that I was going to Las Vegas to play poker. And I said, I don't know what to do with him on the weekend. When I come back, I'll take him back. But
Right.
she goes, I'll take him over the weekend. So I had she went to get the dog, brought the dog to me, had him for like 4 days. Then I had to bring the dog to her.
Right.
And I went to Las Vegas. And so for the entire 3-day trip to Vegas, I was FaceTiming this dog.
Oh my goodness.
And when we came home, I went from the airport to Kathy's house to pick up Emma. And Emma leaped, I remember distinctly, she leaped off the steps and into my arms. She was a big standard poodle. And we were together until she passed away.
Oh, my goodness.
And she was just a great blessing. And before Emma, I had another dog. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
And
This is my closest high school friend, Mike Gallagher. Great philanthropist and just a very principled guy who's working really hard to save America's democracy right now.
okay.
Now, here's an example of how we started the pantry. You saw the picture earlier where we had these tables upon tables at the Hoboken
Yes.
Housing Authority. Well, every place has to start small.
Yes.
So here's one of our first distributions. We had somewhere between 30 and 60 bags of food that we were serving people.
Wow.
And that's, in a short 3-year period, that's how quickly our pantry's grown.
It's amazing.
Yep.
Oh,
And,
look at the babies.
Yep, I told you the stories
Yes.
about the kids who think we're never going to make any money.
Yeah.
But, kids, even kids, not just the adults in
Right.
Hoboken, but here's kids who, they set up a pop-up shop to sell their little trinkets, and all of the money that they earned, they gave to the Hoboken Food Pantry.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Look at this.
Yep, so here, this is it. This is the, without these people in this car, excluding me, the pantry wouldn't run. There's Chesley Mead and Jen Manzetti, and they just, listen, they are, if you want to know really what's happening at the Hoboken Community Center, you call one of them, and they'll tell you what's happening, and then they'll tell you how to do it better.
Right. Wow.
Here's another example. We have such great partners in Hoboken, and here's one of our local bars and restaurants, Pinella, that put on an event for us, and we raised lots of money. That, by the way, they matched.
Wow.
Much to our surprise. We collected. We had a drive there, a pantry, a personal care drive, and then they raised some money for us, and they matched it. And
wow.
It's an example. There's just, if I started to talk about the restaurants and the businesses, Anthony Pino, Dave Carney, all of these people who, just support what we're doing, it would be, it would be amazing. Anthony Pino, we basically have to tell him stop, and Dave Carney, we used to run a Thanksgiving dinner for our men. If you think about these guys, they live in these single rooms. Right. Many of them are, they don't have big families.
Yes.
And when COVID hit, we couldn't really do it in that building anymore.
Okay.
And so Dave said, well, I'm going to put on a Thanksgiving dinner for your guys. Oh. And he puts out this spread, and we invite our men over. And of course, the board goes and sits with them. And I remember distinctly the first time Dave did this several years ago. I went over, and I'm kind of talking to the guys, and there was a man sitting all by himself, our resident. And I went over and said, hey, do you have enough to eat? Is everything good? And he had tears in his eyes. And I thought, is everything okay? And he said, it's the first time in 10 years I've been inside a restaurant.
Oh.
So that's what Dave Carney does. So, and that's just two of the many, many outstanding partners, that we have, in the city. So we're blessed.
Wow. Amazing. It's just amazing.
This is just a picture of that's our holiday pop-up, where we invite, our clients to come and get not just presents for their kids, because a lot of people do, the Hoboken Police, the Hoboken Fire, they do a great job of child's toys, but we try to do that, and also presents that may help other members of the family. So that Santa leaves something for grandma and for daddy and all that stuff too. So we've been, the response from the Hoboken community to provide us with those items is just, look at what we've been able to do with their help. This is solely from the residents of Hoboken who donate.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, so, look at this.
Yep. So you think about the building that I told you we want to renovate, right? That's at 1301. Well, it has a very long history. This is actually the entrance on 13th Street.
Wow.
And it's currently, the building is currently fallow and in quite disrepair, but this is what it used to be. And really, this usefulness is going to look very different, but this usefulness is really the history behind this building, and it's just amazing.
Look at this.
This is the Mary Stevens room upstairs, which was the women's reading room, and just such a stately location, and it's all going to be rehabilitated. We're going to run great programs out of there. Same thing here. This is the downstairs meeting room.
Wow.
And the gym, the track, unfortunately, insurance doesn't permit us to keep that track up anymore.
Okay.
But that gym will be renovated, and it's going to be enlarged, and there will be pull-out bleachers and the opportunity to run rec programs for kids, for adults, seniors, silver sneaker programs for our seniors, all of that kind of stuff.
All right now.
And of course, this is the jewel, right? We have in our basement a fully ready to be used tomorrow, if we cleaned it up.
Right.
Unbelievable pool.
Okay.
And we're going to enhance this program by adding a second therapy pool where swim lessons and aqua aerobics can be held. So the basement of the Hoboken Community Center will have two very useful indoor pools that can be used year-round.
Wow.
So our children in Hoboken will have indoor pools for
Yes.
swimming lessons, for aquasize classes for seniors during the day.
That would be
For-
nice.
I said, we should run like volleyball, water volleyball.
Yes,
For the
yes.
adults, and it's going to be great. Yep.
Marco Polo, ain't that what they do? That's a good idea. Oh my goodness, wow. Well, Toni, what can I say? I mean, like, what can I say? It's like amazing. Like, this is just super amazing. I'm so glad that you came. I'm so glad that we got to know you more. You are an amazing person.
Listen,
You're an amazing woman.
I've been graced to know lots of amazing people, and I hope tonight, if we have some
Yes.
people watching, if people are interested at all in getting involved with the Hoboken Community Center, I mean, we have 96 men, 1,500 families.
Yes.
We're serving our neighbors, and we desperately need your help.
Yes.
We need your finances. If you can make a
Yes.
donation, we would be most appreciative. We're working on Taste of Hoboken now. Please come, June
Yes.
6th. Please buy a ticket. If you work for a company that you think could donate an item for an
Yes.
auction, please get in touch with me through that website. You can reach
Yes.
me through there, where we'd love to talk to you. If there's something that, you can do, it would be really greatly, greatly appreciated. All of that money is going to be used to do all of the programs that we talked about tonight.
Yes. So please, whatever you can do, we would love to have you support. But Toni, thank you so much.
Thank you, LaTrenda.
I'm
It's
so
great to
glad
see
that
you.
I got to see you in person. This is amazing. And I really hope by hearing your story and hearing about Hoboken that, people will really, really come out and really cater to the Hoboken, to the city of Hoboken. There's always an opportunity for you to volunteer and to give. Hoboken is a beautiful city. It's a beautiful city. Toni is a wonderful woman. Bernadette Cunning Pearson. Hi. Oh my God, you know who that is?
I do.
Okay, all right.
She was in many of our pictures.
Oh my goodness. Wow, so, that's it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much. Hoboken Talks is coming soon. We're going to have Coach Ed Stinson. Who don't know Coach Ed Stinson? With Stu. So we're happy to have them coming soon. We want to give our thanks to New Jersey Historical Commission, New Jersey Council for the Humanities, the Shipyard Circle, Iron State, I love that name, Iron State, the Fires, Hoboken, 1978 to 1982, and the events, April 16th, we have Yamira Figueroa Vasquez, who is Hoboken-born consultant on the exhibit, and the Shipyard Marina, watercolors. I love that. Watercolors by Patrick Neal. All right. Comment. Make sure you comment, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Pamela Schultz says she is one of a kind with the heart emoji. Yes. Thank you, Hoboken Historical Museum.